Well, here's today's lesson, a character-building 189.5 kilometres that take the race into the Massif Central. First category climbs early and late, some hard man's green jersey points to be sprinted for in between, and the short, sharp Côte de Saint-Vidal, which could be the launch pad for a stage-winning attack. One more take on yesterday, though, before we get on with stage 15, or rather two takes. Here's Fabio Aru's teammate Michael Valgren, interviewed immediately after the stage in Rodez.
Michael, why was Fabio so far back in the group late in the race?
Ask him.
Did he communicate anything to the team about not feeling well or for some reason being out of position?
No, not really. He didn't say much, actually, and I tried to bring him to the front, but he just didn't stay on my wheel, so it's hard to keep him in the front then.
Was he saying anything to you?
No. Did he lose a jersey or what?
Yeah, Froome has it now.
Ah, good.
And here he is this morning, presumably having had the hairdryer treatment from the team director last night once they watched the TV.
It wasn't my intention to be with a rude attitude, and I was a little bit irritated by yesterday because you stopped me 3 times, before going to the bus, so maybe that's explaining also my attitude, because normally I'm not like that, and I was working really hard yesterday to keep Fabio in the front, but I didn't do well, so that's what cost him some seconds in the end.
What was the reaction of Fabio and the team when everybody got together at the bus afterwards?
Yeah, it's not so bad as everybody thinks, actually. We're actually having a great Tour de France, and everybody likes to ride for Fabio. So Fabio was, of course, disappointed, because in the end he was placed bad, and that you can blame us, but he also didn't really feel that he had the legs. He said he forgot to take a gel in the end, so he went maybe not hunger flat, but he lost a little bit of lack of power, so that's also one of the reasons, and I know that we should be there more for him, and we try, but it's Tour de France, and it's not easy, and everybody is fighting, and you can have a bad day, so yeah, yesterday was just a bad day.
Now, 176 men rolled out of Les Sacs-Sévérac-l'Église this morning, Trek's Fabio Follini having abandoned yesterday. And after consecutive stage wins for Warren Barguil and Michael Matthews, Sunweb are having a great tour. Of course, Barguil is in the polka dot jersey too, and he set off in an early break in search of more mountain points, picking up 10 at the top of the first climb and another 2 at the top of the second, stretching his lead in the KOM over Thomas de Gent to 70 points. And things got better for Sunweb from there, because after the second climb, the initial break of 5 riders was joined by a group of more than 20 who'd attacked off the front of the main field. And in there were Barguil's teammates Simon Geschke and Michael Matthews. Geschke led out Matthews at the intermediate sprint, and he took the maximum 20 points to eat a little bit further into Marcel Kittel's lead, down now from 99 to 79. In advance of the next first category climb, Tony Martin decided to give himself a head start on Barguil and the climbers and attacked solo off the front of the breakaway. The group containing Chris Froome and all the favourites is over 9 minutes back.
The approach to the Cat 1 climb is all sorts of interesting at the moment, as Oliver Naesen, the Belgian national champion, and the entire AG2R La Mondiale team put the yellow jersey into some bother. A gap has opened up on the line. Nairo Quintana is the wrong side of it. His fellow Colombian Sergio Henao is the only, well, there's 2 Sky Domestiques with Mikel Nieve as well, but the yellow jersey has been gapped on the road by Romain Bardet. Just want to see Fabio Aru as well, the national champion. So riders number 2 and 3 in the general classification are there in that group, and a small gap has opened up.
Look at this, and we're seeing a yellow jersey. We're all critiquing Aru yesterday getting caught out. Now the yellow jersey today, Chris Froome was being caught out, and the reason for this is AG2R, we've seen them, and they have an innovative racing style, and now we've got them in pieces. Look, Team Sky have dropped back. They've dropped back to try and bring back Chris Froome into this, and that's Team Sky now, who are, look at that, there you go, he's got 2 riders there, Sergio Henao in 4th place, but I think that's Luke Rowe giving one last effort, Christian Knies there as well, and then that's going to be it after that, I think. But look at AG2R go.
And they've got his entire, I mean, the super impressive thing, once again, about AG2R Le Mondiale is the team effort. They've got the entire team. I mean, we didn't see, unfortunately, how that developed at all on the road, but it must have been pre-planned. All 8 of them seemingly are there with Romain Bardet. That's pretty much a complete team. Alberto Contador is also in the group. Nairo Quintana, Dan Martin, I think, and also Chris Froome are in this chase group, and the numbers don't stack up in favour of the yellow jersey right now.
No,
some firepower up the road. Fabio Aru, Alberto Contador and Romain Bardet.
Look, Chris Froome's in issues. He's having troubles holding that wheel. He's not having a good day.
gesticulating, looking round, just unable to hold on to the wheel of the Movistar rider in front of him. Jonathan Castroviejo, the time trialist, gets there, looks across, he sees Nieve on his wheel, and that's all come back together for now. But, well, you can see how hard Axel de Mont is working now, and Oliver Naesen and Villamoz and Gastau, all those
he's
familiar
angry.
names.
He's really angry. He's angry with Nieve. That's what he was doing. He's opening the gap
Nieve
up.
should have been on the front. Nieve was sitting on the wheel of the yellow jersey. Races within races, and it's really interesting. We expected that today. Let's not forget what's going on 9 minutes further up the road as Alessandro De Marchi and Serge Pauwels are trying to peg back a marauding Tony Martin. But AG2 La Mondiale are still stretching it all out, and the yellow jersey once again is slipping back the wrong side of a gap.
He's getting dropped again. He's getting distance. Look, there he is. The gaps keep opening up.
He's got 2 or 3 domestiques. He's closing the gap himself. The other Sky Riders are just sitting on that group.
Yeah, he's calling his team. Look, that's the yellow jersey stuck between those 2 groups. Look at that. This is either he's not feeling good, which was the only indication for this. He's got 2 teammates in front. He can't hold the wheel on the flat here. He keeps getting distanced.
Who are the 2 Sky Riders there? There are 2 yellow helmets. One of them must be Mikel Landa, I would assume, and Kwiatkowski. It's hard to identify from that shot. But Froome's doing all the work and taking the responsibility himself. Now he gets onto the wheels, closes the gap again. Can he move himself up that line? They've still got the entire AG2 La Mondiale
he's had a problem. He's had a puncture or something.
He's dropping back right back. There he is, the yellow jersey.
Yeah. There
on the left-hand side of the road, dropping back at half the pace as the race goes up the road ahead of him. I think one of his teammates has stopped as we pan off frustratingly to a shot of the countryside. The race is unfolding in the most unexpected and dramatic fashion behind us on the road. And AG2 La Mondiale, they'll have seen the same pictures in the team car. They'll know that the yellow jersey is in trouble now.
Look, Team Sky don't know yet. So you can't say AG2 now. Mikel Landa has to stay there. This is why it's so important. There you go, Chris Froome. Just lost another teammate. Now he's in such a bad position because there'll be a complete... He won't get a car to help him because that's not allowed. The UCI are very strict on that anymore. His team don't know yet. They're scattered everywhere. This is the confusion. And they have to stay in front. But there's no convoy anyway because AG2R have hit this so hard. They've elongated the peloton so long that there's groups everywhere. And the roads are so narrow that the convoy, the cars, are a long way back.
Sergio Henao is the only teammate he's got alongside him. He's an excellent teammate to have, the Colombian road race champion. You can see the back of the group of favourites going away up the road as riders are dropped from the back of that group, and they're going to have an almighty battle on their hands because look at the firepower they have at their disposal. When Naesen has done, and I don't imagine he'll last too long as they hit the climb now, you hand over to that climbing, packed, talented team of AG2 La Mondiale.
And to say, so everybody's saying about the unwritten rules and stuff, that doesn't exist here. This is a race situation. Chris Froome was getting caught out, he was behind, and then he's had a mechanical. The race is on, so he's got Kirienka, but Kirienka's been riding all day.
Draw breath. In the meantime, Tony Martin is still defending a lead that's over a minute to that chase group of Alessandro De Marchi, Damiano Caruso, Nicolas Roche, the BMC team full of intent. They want a stage win today. Amel Moinard doing the work, licking his lips. They have got 4 riders in that group, and Caruso is the one being protected. But the whole of the Tour de France is being reconfigured, and the dice are being rolled further back.
Look at this. So Chris Froome's behind all those groups. Now they're getting caught up behind all the slow guys. Look, it's like racing cars, trying to get past lapped cars. And this is what the problem is now. This group's all slowed down, they've given up. And Chris Froome and his 2 domestiques are getting caught up behind all, so they're losing even more time there.
It's just brutal, isn't it, the Tour de France? Just when you think it's a sleepy stage race, nothing's going to happen in the general classification, an extraordinary situation developed on the road. It looks like that's all that can be done in the service of Damiano Caruso from Alessandro De Marchi. Nicolas Roche, Amel Moinard and Damiano Caruso still have the polka dot jersey in that group. They're trying to get across to Tony Martin. Tony Martin has the head of the race, but the yellow jersey is possibly going to change hands today. And will it be Fabio Aru back in yellow, or even Romain Bardet at the end of the day? Or can Chris Froome possibly recover his situation? Huge drama on the slopes of the last categorised Cat 1 climb of the day, with over 30 kilometres still to race. Chris Froome has Sergio Henao and Mikel Nieve alongside him, but at the moment he is looking at the race lead go up the mountain and away and out of his control. The group that are being driven on as we look at Tony Martin, who's on his own at the front of the race in an entirely separate race for the stage win and holding on for grim death over the top of the climb. But in the GC race further back down the road, the group that is being driven on by an absolute army of AG2 La Mondiale jerseys is so powerful, and with the exception of Chris Froome, it contains all all the big hitters in general classification. Aru, Bardet, Uran, Mikel Landa, Chris Froome's teammate, Dan Martin, Simon Yates, Nairo Quintana. They are all in that group, and none of them today are going to wait for the yellow jersey, that's for sure.
Now look at this, here we go, AG2R, Romain Bardet there, looking completely in control and focused. I mean, these guys are just on it. Oh, look how small the group is. It's tiny. Here we go, this Cannondale, Drapac, who are just all
Rolland dropping off the pace, which gives you an indication of just how hard it is as they hit this climb as well. And they're on it. They've still got a few kilometres to go, probably about 5, 6, 7 kilometres of this climb still to go. Well, take your hat off to Tony Martin. It was a valiant effort, but that is the difference between a big, heavy time trialist, a brave rider, a brilliant rider, and a man perhaps not quite at his absolute best in terms of form, and he's virtually coming to a standstill. He knows that that is over as Warren Barguil will sweep past him. Quintana has been dropped from that AG2R La Mondiale group. He looks across and he's just going to try and get on the wheels of, well, he's got Carlos Betancourt there as well, but can he just latch onto this group, driven on by Mikel Nievy in the services of the yellow jersey? That's the front of the race, though, and it belongs to Warren Barguil, a Frenchman animating things in the polka dot jersey right at the very front.
Now look at AG2R, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 riders, and they're holding off. So he is drawing close to Mikel Nievy. You'll see him enter the bottom of the screen now. There you go. But he's holding, at the moment, they're static, I think. And if you think about it, they're static. Romain Bardet still has 5 teammates. Nairo Quintana is now dropped. This is just phenomenal. That's how steep it is here. He's doing the old postman, zigzagging up and back.
Putting on a show. He's at the back of that chase group, and Warren Barguil flying up the road. Nievy's turn that he's putting in. Look at Landa, he's dropped to the back now. That might be quite interesting, because Nievy's turn that he's doing for Chris Froome, bringing him close so that maybe Froome can bridge on his own. He's knocked off 15, 20 seconds. That's to within about 30 seconds now. I think this graphic might be able to confirm that. There you go. 25 seconds. So if he can get it across to maybe 15 seconds, 20 seconds even, Chris Froome can come off the wheel when Nievy can do no more. There you go. So now it's over to him. So this is a huge and important effort that Chris Froome has to put in now. And on his day, he can do this. He's got no teammates though to help him.
The thing is, he's doing a race-defining moment to get back on. Now, what AG2R have to do is they'll be hearing this on the radio. They'll know he's coming up. They have to wait until he gets as close as possible, has gone as deep, and then they have to go. Oh,
Chris Froome is getting booed by the French crowd. They don't like him. He's done that before, though, and ridden through adversity and the wave of displeasure that they have for some reason in Chris Froome and the yellow jersey of Team Sky. But yeah, there's Landa. He's dropped back, and there he is, fully in the service of the yellow jersey now. So and there's the group, you can see them. There is the AG2R La Mondiale group. He is very, very close, and he's got a great wheel to get on now.
The effort he's had to do that's an effort he'd normally do to win a bike race. Now, Romain Bardet, Aru, Dan Martin, they haven't gone in the red yet. So Chris Froome is having to go in the red to get back up to him, and that's what they have to take advantage of. And you can see he is at his absolute race-winning threshold at the moment. He's just got to hold this. Alberto Contador looking behind, so we're going to see soon. Mikel Landa's going to have to set a real steady pace, because the fact that Chris Froome isn't closing that gap quicker means that he can't. But look, this is the front of the race, 7 minutes ahead of Chris Froome, and they've still got just under a K.5 to go to the summit. So still a lot to do. Now look, Mikel Landa is bringing him back on, and Romain Bardet still has 3 teammates, one at the back though, so he's got 1 up ahead, so he's still got a lot. So even if he attacks, he'll have a teammate up ahead. So at the moment, this has worked out perfectly. That Landa has come back. Landa's strong enough to just bring him back gently. But the fact that I'm a little bit worried for Chris Froome that Bardet, no one's moved yet. They're making him do as much as possible to get back on before they do anything. And that group's slowing down. You see the way it's spread across the road? And that's because Romain Bardet, which is very worrying, is not using up his teammates. So he is obviously very confident about what he's going to do. I don't know when he's going to do it, but as he's using up, he's not, it's what I was talking about earlier. He is so cold and calculated. He's not panicked. He's not just told them to just slam it on the front and just look how strong Landa is. Just powers back up. So that's an indication
a statement there, isn't it?
Yeah, that very much is.
That is a statement. Look at Landa out of the saddle, and Froome is absolutely spent. But take your hat off to him to recover from that position. I didn't think he'd be able to, and there he is in the group of favourites again. You cannot take your eyes off today's stage. There are eye-catching, fantastic performances wherever you look on this mountain, not least Warren Barguil. Another splendid day on the Tour de France for him. He'll get to the top of the last Cat 1 climb of the day on his own, and he'll have a small advantage rolling over the top. Can he push push on
Here we go,
and try and
Bardet.
ride to stage victory. Bardet has waited a while, and now he draws out Rigoberto Urán, and riders number 3 and 4 in the general classification have attacked the rest. Contador, Aru, they are reacting. Where's the yellow jersey? Martin, I saw, and Chris Froome had only had about 45 seconds, maybe a minute, to draw breath, if indeed he was possible, as Bardet then launched his inevitable attack. But Froome is right there on the wheels of Pierre Latour or Axel de Moor, one of the riders working to set up that attack from Romain Bardet.
It's phenomenal of Chris Froome that he can even do that after that huge effort to get back on. Even though he had teammates helping him, that was a massive, massive effort to bridge that junction. And now he's just going to have to hang on for dear life. And but he does look in control. The fact he could close that gap means that he's back in control.
Chris Froome is there, and that in itself is absolutely remarkable. He's got 33, 34 kilometres of racing still to go. This group, though, has come together over the top of the climb. Barguil has sat up. He looks at the riders left in this race. Those very, very steep slopes that we saw Pierre-Luc Perichon weaving from side to side in, they are coming up now. They're going to hit a very, very difficult part of this climb, and it would be the launch pad if any of them feel like they can go again. Villamoz peels off. It looks like Bardet is twitching to launch another attack, and meanwhile,
Bauke Mollema who's gone on the front.
has attacked on the descent.
So, yeah, so we've got two amazing races going on here.
The yellow jersey has produced one of the most extraordinary recoveries in the modern era of the Tour de France. That is not an exaggeration. Well, the GC group now haven't got far to go until they go over the top of the Cat 1 climb. It's not the end of the climbing today. Within 15 kilometres, they go over a Cat 4 climb, nearly 2 kilometres in length, quite steep, about 7%. And then there's one more uncategorised climb with 6 kilometres to go as well. So lumps and bumps all the way in the run-in. But as they come over the extraordinary Cat 1 climb on stage 15, they are now all together again. And the yellow jersey is still in the race lead. Primoz Roglic is counter-attacking Bauke Mollema at the front of the race. The advantage that the Dutchman had as they hit the final categorised climb of the day was getting uncomfortably large. Bauke Mollema had a lead that was heading up towards a minute, and you don't give a rider of his class a minute. The team cars, as you say, were pulled into the gap. He was going out of sight and riding on his own towards a stage victory. He still might. He's only got, over the top of this climb, 13 kilometres to go, and hence the reaction. And it's come from Roglic in the first place, and then almost inevitably countered by the polka dot jersey. Bauke Mollema has yet to win a stage of the Tour de France. He's come close, 1 third place and 1 second, but even that is rolling back the years a bit, some 5 or 6 years ago. And he desperately would love to make this one stick. Close to the top now, if he can get over on his own, and he doesn't see Bauke Mollema Warren Barguil, slightly off put there by what we were seeing on our screens, Warren Barguil alongside him, then he's back on his own favoured turf, and he can get back into time trial mode, if you like, Bauke Mollema. He is a good combination of climbing talent and time trialling talent as well. Got him a stage race, that combination, earlier on in the year, in fact, this year in Argentina, taking a GC win in San Juan. Over the top he goes, so he takes the final climb, categorised climb of the day, and now he will just bury himself over the next 13 kilometres to hold off this chase group.
Look, Barguil's closing in on them now. I mean, look at the speed that Barguil's going at. This is it's just such a tour de force from him at this, in every mountain stage so far. It just goes from start to finish. It's phenomenal. But then it looks like if they can just distance that 17 seconds back to the... So, yeah, he's closed at 20 seconds, Warren Barguil, with Roglic. So that's the strongest move. Now, they're just there, but that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So the 2 BMC riders, AG2R rider won't be that, but it's Jan Bakelands. He will stay there because there's still a chance they can get back together. He can win the sprint because he has got a fast sprint.
So one thing we learned from watching the breakaway, race 1, if you like, on that climb, David, is that that's a proper climb. It's only been given Cat 4 status, but it's 1.9k in length and steep. I mean, steep enough for the GC battle possibly to be re-engaged if someone has the legs. And
I'd be very, very surprised if Romain Bardet doesn't just give it another go there. He's in that state of mind now. His team are working so hard. This is the time to do it, even though Chris Froome is in that group and he is looking imperial as ever. He's had a harder day than he normally ever has. They've had to put him into the red for him to fix those situations, and it's a situation that very few riders could fix, but he did manage to do it. But that will have come at a price. And if they don't try and take advantage of that now, then when are they going to? Now the car's been pulled out, so that does mean that there they are. So it's still Ulissi driving forward. Ulissi, Roglic, Tony Gallopin, Warren Barguil, 4 riders. They've just got to now work together. They will, I think, because it's in their vested interest to work as a team to try and bring back Bauke Mollema.
Trek Segafredo's Bauke Mollema has 10 kilometres of time trialling if he wants to hold on to this increasingly distant prospect, I think, of a stage victory. And I say distant because this group is hunting him down with each pedal stroke now. Tony Gallopin, Warren Barguil, Primoz Roglic and Diego Ulissi, and they almost have him in their sight again. The cars have been pulled out and they're right on him. And
look at that headwind. So that headwind is going to hinder massively Bauke Mollema. He's just banging his head against a wall. But these 4 riders, they do get little rests. Also, although they're going into the same headwinds, they get a break. Now Simon Yates is going. So Simon Yates is launching the first attack.
The white jersey is the one to attack. Not as we thought, AG2R La Mondiale, even though Bardet has got a couple of riders still setting things up, and Bardet is responding. The yellow jersey, well, he always looks uncomfortable, just dips his head, but he finds the right wheel. It's Landa's wheel, in fact, and Landa is perfectly placed watching Bardet and Yates attack. That is one of the support riders there. That was Matthias Frank who set that up for AG2R La Mondiale, but in fact, it was Simon Yates who attacked, and Simon Yates, who has temporarily at least ridden away from this group, and Bardet just sits back and allows Yates to go.
And this is where Simon Yates comes into his own, because contrary to the majority of GC races, Simon Yates is an exceptional one-day racer as well. We've seen him at the Classics, we've seen how strong he is in these finales. He's punchy, he knows when to go, he knows how to do it, and this is Simon Yates displaying the sort of the caliber of rider he is, which is very much different tactically to the GC races.
Bardet looks like he wants to attack. Will he attack, though? And the very presence of Mikel Landa working for Chris Froome and looking so strong as he rides to the front and asserts himself there, Mikel Landa, I think might be deterring Romain Bardet from trying anything. In fact, Landa's on the front now and establishing control for the yellow jersey. And almost inching away now. Is that an attack from Landa?
No, he's just showing how strong he is.
It's just a statement, isn't it?
And the thing is, they will know, and as I said before about Romain Bardet, he knows it's a block headwind all the way to the finish. If he goes, the problem is that Chris Froome has Mikel Landa there, and Mikel Landa is almost saying to them all, look, I'm still here, I'm still completely in control, I can shut this race down whenever I like. And that alone deters attacks. So look how easily Mikel Landa's making that look, just slowly coming back up at his own pace so as not to hurt Chris Froome, and just controlling it. Because then afterwards, it's going to be a block headwind all the way to the finish. So if Simon Yates had made it off the front, or Romain Bardet had gone, he would then be battling his own while everyone else behind rotated. So I actually think he's already played his moves, unless he's going to do one of his descent moves on the way into the Puy.
Well, there is a bit of descending to be done. Landa looks just mercilessly strong, and he's ended that attack from Simon Yates. That's good news for the man in the blue there.
He's going again, Simon Yates. He's launching again. Look at that.
And Landa goes with him. Determined, muscular, strong. Bardet is drawn out by that attack. Over the top they go. It'll all come back together, I'm pretty sure of that. Unless Bardet just continues his attack. But Landa just the best possible ally for Chris Froome at this stage of the race. High in the general classification, Mikel Landa in his own right, but at the service of the yellow jersey. Under 7 kilometres to go for Bauke Mollema, and he is holding on to a precious quarter of a minute or thereabouts. Martin. So they've come off the short descent, and Martin on the flatter roads has seized his opportunity. Now the yellow jersey and Bardet and Duran will probably watch him go. The big problem there is for Simon Yates, who is directly troubled by that, as he wanted to attack Dan Martin's 6th position. But Martin, well, the next rider ahead of him in the general classification is Mikel Landa, interestingly, who moves to the front now. Nairo Quintana goes over the top of that Cat 4 climb, a good 2, maybe 3 minutes down on the yellow jersey group, and is having another terrible day, Nairo Quintana, and losing an awful lot of time. He will be dropping out of the top 10, I would have thought, by the end of today. Mollema still holding on valiantly to this lead, and they're having to work ridiculously hard to get across to the Dutchman. It's been a brilliant move from him. It looked speculative, it looked doomed to failure, but at the moment he's dispensing with Roglic and Galopin, and only Barguil and Ulissi still look like they can get across to him. It's a great ride from Mollema. He's got 5k to go. This is the uncategorised climb that we were talking about, and he is nearly over the top of it, and from then on he's descending to the finish line, and that is a significant advantage there, David. It looks like he's got still about 20-25 seconds possibly to play with.
It is a significant advantage at this point of the race, so close, and as we know, fast running. But the thing is, the difference about Mollema and those, although he's been out there on his own for into a headwind, he is just giving everything.
So they're fun and games amongst the GC favourites. Dan Martin still has a slight lead, but they look like they might be bringing him back now. Interesting. So where would Dan Martin be if he hadn't crashed into Richie Porte and lost time on that stage? Because he is riding phenomenally strong race.
Well, I think we know he'd be on the podium for sure, as it stands. Now, look, Mikel Landa has taken control again of the situation, so we can see that for all those ideas that, or people critiquing him for being a bad teammate, it's the complete opposite. This Chris Froome is a dream situation to have a rider of Mikel Landa's caliber in the condition and form he's in, being able to just control the race like this at what is a critical point. Is any yellow jersey would kill for that.
Yeah, don't forget that Mikel Landa was in that group with Bardet and Aru and the others when Chris Froome was out the back and 45 seconds further back down the road. He eventually dropped off to the back of that group, and then he waited for Chris Froome and did that last little stretch, bringing Chris Froome back into the race.
The hard job is done for Bauke Mollema. We just had to get to the top of there and get in. But as you can see behind, they're looking at each other. Yeah. Bauke Mollema's just gone around the corner. He's just there. There he is. You just see him going round, and it's there he is, just in front. So it's so close.
If he's going to be caught, Bauke Mollema, you sense right now, one of those riders behind is going to have to commit at the expense of their own chances of victory. Maybe a Roglic or an Ulissi are going to have to lead the others up the road, because it looks like Galopin and Barguil are not prepared to commit that effort. It's already looking likely.
It's looking very likely. I mean, as you can see, it is a high-speed run. There is no uphill finish, which you would then think would hamper Bauke Mollema, but now he knows he can do this, and he's pushing on. He's 2Ks to go. There's no more uphill, and we can see that he is a time trial specialist, and yes, his style is it's almost a little bit Froome-esque, but at the same time, it is fast.
Very, very popular rider, Bauke Mollema. Anyone who's met him will attest to that. He's a very likeable man, and he's a valiant rider, and he's actually enjoying some of his best form. 30 years of age these days, Bauke Mollema, and in many ways, in terms of the general classification, a nearly man, an almost guy on the big grand tours that he's ridden for on occasions. Rode the Giro d'Italia, don't forget, and he's got that in his legs, and now he has come to the Tour de France initially as a support, and the best possible kind of support for Alberto Contador, but taking his chance today.
Well, last year, coming to the last weekend of the Tour de France, he was looking at almost a guaranteed podium in Paris.
In second place.
Yeah, and then they had that crash on that penultimate day, which ruined all those chances. So that does go to show the caliber of this bike rider, and this, as I said, is going to be a very popular win if he pulls this off.
He's just got 1 kilometre now, and I think he cannot ease up, but pretty soon he's going to know it is a fait accompli here in Le Puy-en-Velay. Bauke Mollema is soloing to a famous win, his first win on the Tour de France. He's already a Grand Tour winner, but that win came at the Vuelta a España, and it came 4 years ago, 2013. He finished in 4th place on the Vuelta in 2011. He is a proven rider, but he has never had a moment of individual success quite like this, because for all a stage win on the Vuelta matters, this is the biggest race of all, and Bauke Mollema has waited a long time, for years at Rabobank, and then with Belkin when they changed name, moving in 2015 to ride for what was Trek Factory Racing then. He is often a rider in his own right for the general classification, just pulling up short, and merciless bad luck hampering his best intentions. Occasionally he is one of the most loyal domestiques and one of the most likeable men in the peloton, but now it's his moment. He has attacked a very high-class group packed with stage winners and brilliant tacticians, and he has outfoxed them all, outmuscled them all, and now he knows he is there. He's just got 150 or so metres to shake his head, shrug off the disbelief, and acknowledge that this has happened, and it's happened to Bauke Mollema for the first time in in his career. Stage 15 in Le Puy-en-Velay on one of the most dramatic days of racing in recent memory goes to Bauke Mollema of Trek Segafredo. And this is the battle for second place, and they're not going to give it up either. Diego Ulissi came here, 6-time stage winner on the Giro d'Italia, trying to hunt down a stage win. Well, second place might have to do, but Tony Galopin might just deny him that. I think Galopin or Willie, no, it's close. Ulissi just gets there ahead of Tony Galopin, with Primoz Roglic getting the best Tour de France finish of his career, and Warren Barguil for once having to settle for 5th place. This is the rest of that chase group. Nico Roche is going to take 6th place on the day and finish strongly, but the rest of them I think are just going to coast home, content with their top 10, top 12 positions as the chase disintegrated under pressure from the likes of Barguil, Galopin, Roglic, Ulissi, and most of all Bauke Mollema. Dan Martin has picked up a whole load of allies.
Thomas de Gent, who's there, Simon Geschke, I think it's Kieselowski from Katusha. This is a very strong move.
Bauke, I remember a year ago you were second in GC and looking at a podium, if not winning the Tour de France. Incredible that this is your first stage win, but no one can take this away ever. How do you feel now?
No, yeah, it's amazing. It's so nice to win a stage in the Tour, to be on the podium. Yeah, I've never been on the podium of a stage or a jersey in the Tour de France, so really special to be there. And yeah, finally I've won a stage. I've been close a few times last 5 years, and yeah, today was just my day, so I'm really happy.
Dan Martin goes under the kite. He's got 1,000 metres to get to the finish line, and then we'll start the clock and see if he can make up 9 seconds. Matthews picks up a small number of points in the green jersey competition. Good day for Michael Matthews, good day for Warren Barguil, even if neither of them, for a change, didn't win the stage. I think Dan Martin's going to get there, you know. That gap looked bigger than 9 seconds. And now they're all sitting on his wheel. It's up to Dan Martin. As you can see by his expression, this effort hurts, but he's going to get some reward from it when eventually he gets to the line. A top 20 position or thereabouts over the line, but that matters not a jot to Dan Martin. What does matter are the seconds that he can gain, and Geschke is still prepared to help Dan Martin.
Yeah, they really are. He's making sure that he wasn't losing his wheel. Dan Martin's a popular rider in the peloton. Everyone will feel a bit sorry after that crash, so it's good to see them really kind of all trying to help him a little bit. All
right, we start the watch going, and we'll have a look at the yellow jersey is flying up the road. The yellow jersey is not going to pinch a couple of seconds here, is he, over the rest? They need to finish as one group without a split, of course. Dan Martin has clawed back enough time. He will just, by a couple of seconds, move into 6th place, and Mikel Landa will drop down into 7th. Minor celebrations, though, from Alberto Contador in that group, from Trek Segafredo, because his domestique won the stage.
Yes, because like so many of the top domestiques, Bauke Mollema is a man well capable of racing for himself when he's given the chance. Even with a long home straight celebration, he still had 19 seconds over his chasers. Diego Ulissi outsprinted Tony Galopin and Primoz Roglic. Stage 13's winner Warren Barguil left them to it, and Nicolas Roche was the best of the rest from the early break. Dan Martin took 14 seconds from the group containing the rest of the favourites. Chris Froome's big achievement of the day was being in the group of favourites. Nairo Quintana wasn't and lost over 4 minutes to them. No teammates to pace poor Dan McLay today. He came in last on the stage, 38 minutes down, and is now last overall. Well, he rode the Giro d'Italia as team leader for Trek Segafredo, Bauke Mollema, and finished 7th overall. And of course he has a stage win in the Vuelta, but the prestige of a Tour de France stage win trumps that. Simon Yates, Marcel Kittel and Warren Barguil hold the white, green and polka dot jerseys going into the second rest day. And Chris Froome holds the yellow, although it looked for a spell like he might lose it the day after taking it back. No change in the top 4 in the end, though. Dan Martin moves up to 5th at the expense of Mikel Landa. Simon Yates remains 7th, with his white jersey rival Louis Meintjes directly behind him now as Nairo Quintana drops out of the top 10. The fact that Chris Froome didn't at least drop down the top 10 is due to the sacrifice of one teammate, the hard work of several others, and the power of his own legs and his will to win.
Never a dull moment in this year's Tour, that's for sure. Just coming into the foot of the main climb of the day, I had a bit of a mechanical problem. I had to change the back wheel, and it couldn't have happened at a worse time, really. So it was all hands on deck. Teammates were fantastic again. Kwiato stopped, gave me his wheel, and yeah, the rest of the guys sat up, helped me as much as they could on the climb, and then Mikel Landa just dropped out of the front group to pace me back in just over the top of the climb there, and yeah, hugely grateful that they did all that and managed to keep me in the front group.
Mikel, it seemed like you saved Chris Froome today. Tell us what happened on that penultimate climb.
I think all the team did a nice work there. Chris have some mechanical problems in the bike, and just H2R was doing the race, no? So we had a difficult moment there, but finally we worked like a team. We saved the day.
How surprised were you when Froome came back the way he did?
Yeah, but it was impossible for me to attack. It was too far away from the finish. So, yeah, he showed that this was very strong, and but we will try it again in the next few days.
And you had a front row view of how AG2R tried to capitalise on Froome's mechanical. I mean, how do you think they played it?
Well, they attacked before Chris's mechanical, you know, so that was probably one of the hardest parts of the tour so far. I've got to say, we were flying, and everybody was already in the red at the bottom of the climb. And then it was kind of, I mean, I dare say, but I think Chris is the only guy who could have come back from that mechanical. We were going so fast, you know, so it's really, yeah. They definitely weren't. I don't see they were taking advantage of the mechanical. They were doing their race, and it was unfortunate for Chris. I don't know what happened, but yeah, I'm happy he came back because you don't want the tour to be decided like that.
All in all, I'm just happy to have got through today without any major losses, and I think everyone will be welcoming tomorrow's rest day.
Will you lie there looking at the ceiling, wired, or will you sleep well tonight, Chris?
I'll pass out tonight. I'm knackered.